I've been as well. Thanks for asking. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll go ahead and we'll call the City of Peru Common Council meeting for June 5th, 2017 to order. We're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman Crosskopf and then the invocation by Pastor Brent Wedding.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, we come once again to thank you for your blessings in our lives and your favor upon this city. We pray that you would bless this meeting and all of the topics that are discussed tonight. We pray that you would fill our council, men and women, with wisdom and integrity to do what's right for our city. We pray for all of our civil servants, the police and fire departments, and all those that serve to make this a great place to live. We thank you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, well, roll call.
Holland?
Here.
Justin?
Here.
Torrance? Here. Lee?
Here.
Alley?
Here.
Langwell?
Here.
Crosskopf?
Yes.
All members are present. Next, we have the reading and correcting of the journal.
Move we suspend the rules and dispense with the reading and correcting of the journal. Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Crosskopf and seconded by Councilman Guston to suspend the rules and the reading and correcting of the journal. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have communications.
Cheryl, anything about Civic Center?
Yes, I do. Peru Civic Center for May 2017. Number of guests served is 363. Excuse me. Total meals is 189. Profit from meals is $1,677. The rent paid was $360. Catering brought in $1,005. And total paid back to the city is $494.10. Looks like we had a wonderful month for the Civic Center.
Nice.
For May.
Very good. Who's got the golf update? Nobody? Four?
Aye.
No? Okay. Building and zoning update.
Stephanie's daughter has a doctor's appointment tonight, so she asked if I could read the update.
Okay.
Commercial demolition permits, we had 2. Commercial electrical permit, 2. Commercial rehabilitation permit, 5. Commercial roofing, 1. Building complaints, 7. Code enforcement complaint, 3. Consult meeting with zoning, 2. Residential demolition permit, 6. Residential electrical permit, 3. Residential new rehabilitation permit, we had 8. Residential roofing permit, we had 24.
Keep them roofers busy.
Yes.
Fire department.
All right. For the fire department for last month, they had their 100 series fire. They had 2 incidents. 300 series rescue and EMS, 100 incidents. 400 series hazardous conditions, no fire, 3. 500 series service call, they had 11 incidents. 600 series good intent call, they had 17. 700 series false alarm and false call, they had 1. 800 series severe weather and natural disaster, they had 2. The grand total of 136, slightly above average, but not too bad. Usually about 126 to 28. A little busier than last month.
Yes.
Very good. How about animal shelter?
Animal shelter for May, they had an intake of 8, 3 reclaimed, 1 was adopted, 2 carried over from the previous month, 2 deceased, and they had 17 community cats in the Purdue neuter scooter.
Okay. Peru City Court update.
All right, May 27th. This is for the dates of April 27th, 2017 through May 31st. They had 126 new citations, 59 decided, paid, dismissed, and transferred to Superior Court. 145 pending, not paid. That's year-to-date of 2017. 5 deferrals, 0 failure to pays, 27 sent to collections. City ordinance violations, parking, animal violation, and fireworks, etc. And citations, there were 16 new citations, 26 pending citations, 2017 year-to-date. 1 decided, paid, and dismissed and transferred. 0 animal citations, 0 sent to collections. Code enforcement violations are 0, 7 are pending, 8 decided, paid, and dismissed. That's it for the city court.
Okay. Anything from the attorney?
Last week, we met with a couple people from the county to discuss the 2-mile, Last week, we met with a couple people from the county commissioners to discuss the 2-mile zoning district where the city has authority in. We needed to clarify a few things with them, and we're going to hopefully amend that ordinance and bring that before you guys next month. Other than
Okay.
that,
Let's go back for a second. There was a golf report in your packets. Looks like so far, year-to-date, they have had $75,256 worth of income. They've had, let's see, guest riders were 366. They sold $56,000 worth of tickets. And the green fee rounds, there were 1,086 through the end of May. So that was in your packets, so I'll report on that. So.
I apologize, I forgot I had the police department one, communications as well.
Oh, you want that?
Yeah, please.
All right, go ahead.
All right, stats for the Peru Police Department for May. Total arrests were 87. Total charges from those arrests, 115. Total tickets written, 141. Total warnings written, 141. Total calls for service, 1,733. Total ordinances were 16.
Can I
So they had a
have
busy month.
May I have a copy of that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Mayoral announcement.
Yeah, just wanted to let everybody know that on Wednesday, June 21st, 6 p.m., I'm going to be giving my State of the City address. And, of course, all the council members are invited to come to council chambers and hear the State of the City address, and wanted to set it at a public meeting, so if anybody wants to come. And I just wanted to, one other thing, you guys got kind of a last-minute sheet here. It's got the, there were some questions last time about the additional appropriations and how we're on track with previous years. And Tish, if you wanted to speak on that, she looked into it for the council.
I just decided to do a little bit of research because last meeting, it sounded like it was believed that we were kind of over on appropriations from previous years. So I just wanted to look into it, and in front of you, you have the numbers for the last 6 years, and I think that you'll see last year was our first year. We were significantly under, and we are on track to be under again this year. So it was mentioned, I wanted to bring it to your attention. I didn't want there to be any questions about what we were doing.
Is that number inclusive of the appropriations requested for this evening?
We have, I actually did the numbers. Gabe, did I give those to you?
Yeah, you gave them
didn't
to
give
me.
myself.
I don't
Do you
know if
want to
you-
read them? We've
Sure.
done 4 this year. I can't remember, it seemed like
Yeah.
it was $99 or
It was-
$99,000 for the 4
It
we've
was
done.
91,991 so far this year. With the ones that are proposed tonight, if they were to pass, it's an additional 40,508.
And that's the one that's on the old business, including the one that's on the old business and the one that is on the new business tonight.
Putting
if those
us
are
at that
passed.
amount of 153?
Pardon me?
Putting us at the amount of the 153?
No, this is 2017. You're looking at 2016.
Yeah, that was for 2016.
Oh, okay.
The numbers we just gave you are for what we're on track to do for 2017.
Okay.
I think that was brought up because of some of us thinking with the budget hearing last year that there was not going to be any monies for things, and there was probably that doubt there.
I'm glad the communication opened then, because that's not what it meant at all. It just meant that we were
Well-
trying to tighten down the budget and cut some of the fat off of that, so that, obviously, it's just like you give a kid $20. If he has $20 in his pocket, he's going to spend it all. So we were just trying to cut that back and give the departments less in their pockets we have that backup in case of an emergency, but we're trying to control overall spending.
If I
So-
could speak to that, Jan, last year, we paid on ball for the 5-year plan, and last year, this is what we handed out to all the city council members.
Right.
And you can see in this graph, the cash available funds, and I think it was implied last month that we had no money. So, I mean, if you look at the 5-year plan that we crafted last year, it's in the plan from last year how much money we plan on having in reserves in this document. And you should have a copy of that. I know we gave them, but we are actually on track to do better than what was projected in the general fund. I can look real quick and tell you what our projection was and what we ended up being at for the general fund in 2016. We projected being at ending cash equivalents. Well, I can tell you what we were projected at was 476,821 at the end of 2016. We were right at 100,000 above that last year. 45,000 of that was money that we didn't spend. 55,000 of that was revenue that we got that was not anticipated. So that was the difference between the two numbers too. So we have roughly just under 600,000 in our cash balance in the general fund.
And the purpose was to grow the money instead of use the money. If we would have continued on the route that we were on, we would have depleted that money within 3 to 4 years. And so our goal was to not only not
Right.
deplete it, but to grow it.
Right.
So, and so far, we're on track.
Since we're talking about that, I had a constituent approached me last week and asked about the Indiana Gateway Report for the end of December 2016. We had a negative $203,000 in the special distribution Lowit.
Right. Right. And
The
that,
Board of Accounts allows us to have a negative balance to that much in the account?
they don't like it.
And
No,
so why
and-
did we have it?
Sure. That will be something that, when I put the ordinance together, I will be asking you to move money. We have several different places that we do paving from. Obviously, we got the special distribution Lowit last year. We also have the paving funds that we usually put in the Board of Works. That was 100% an accounting error. We did not overspend by that much. We spent from the wrong account by that much. So we will be asking to move the money that wasn't spent where it was supposed to be back into that fund to bring it back to the negative balance, or excuse me, the zero balance, which is where it's supposed to be.
Is it still sitting that way right now?
Yes,
Negative?
yes.
Yeah,
And everyone that should know does know. I've spoken with the State Board of Accounts with it. We just had a State Board of Accounts meeting in May, and I asked them the proper procedure to go about doing that. And they said, by the end of the year, you do not want that to be negative, and you'll need to ask for the additional appropriation. It's not exactly additional appropriation. It is a appropriation transfer.
Yeah, because we're not
to
going to
move.
appropriate it. We're just
Right.
moving it from fund to fund.
Right.
Yeah.
So was it just paid out of that last year, that sent out of that fund?
It was paid out of that fund.
So it just happened again, paid out of that fund, but the money wasn't in that fund, it was in another fund?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it was basically a miscommunication. Bill McQueen, our street department guy, knew how much money he had to spend, and that was from two different funds. That was from the special Lowit distribution, and that was from the Board of Works line item that we always have for him to pave. So he spends his money, and he's wonderful at it, and he brought it to me, and I coded it wrong. So the money is not overspent, it's just spent out of the wrong fund.
Okay. So that got me looking at and there were two, and I don't understand how this is. Federal withholding was overspent by $3,000, and state and county taxes were overspent by $5,000.
Those were also coding issues, and those were made in our payroll department. And we, as you know, it's on our agenda tonight to talk about transferring the money from that payroll department over to a different line item so that we can pay Comerford, who's been doing our work. That's part of the residue of the problem that I knew to be there that I found a solution for.
Okay. Do we not check these accounts at the end of each month? I mean, I'm just curious. I know when I was at Brian's team, the controller, I had to balance every balance sheet account had to be balanced at the end of the month.
Yeah,
And so-
we've definitely gotten better at that. We were having UMBA help us the first year, as you know, because there was a learning curve. I'm not sure, how long were you at Brian's team?
30 years.
Okay, so there's some learning that needed to be done. And so last year, UMBA was helping. I've definitely seen where there needed to be more attention put and started putting it there, so,
Okay. I will report to the constituent then.
thank you.
If there's nothing else in the communications, we can move on to unfinished business. Ordinance 10, 2017.
Ordinance 10, 2017, an ordinance for additional appropriations.
Move we adopt ordinance 10, 2017.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Crosskoff and seconded by Councilman Guston to adopt ordinance 10, 2017.
Okay, and we're moving money to the aviation. We're moving money around the aviation. What are we doing here?
No, we are asking for appropriations to put in the aviation. We are asking for one of the appropriations to be from general and the other three to be from the aviation commissions, which is not appropriated. As we talked about last time, appropriation is basically permission from the DLGF to spend the money. So we're asking for permission. We do have Jeff from the aviation board here to talk.
Jeff, what you got for us?
Okay, there's 4 different items on here. The first one was a bus trip. So the $2,388.64 is actually money that we brought in for the bus trip, and it was deposited into the city account. So we're just asking for that money to be given back to the airport. The second item for the $6,626.51 is for a furnace that had to be replaced. That happened last November. The furnace went out. We were kind of put in a bad spot. We didn't really have the money. We had some money in our account, so we went ahead and had the work done. And then I'm new at the airport, so some of this stuff was way before I even came on. But towards the end of the year last year, there were some bills that came in that we didn't expect that some of them were over a year old for work that had been done at the airport. So after we had approved the furnace to be installed, we were hit with these other bills, so we had to pay those bills. So this money was transferred over to the next year, and we paid it this year out of our budget, which is going to make us fall short. You know, with the budget cuts and everything, our budget was cut by 16%. So if we don't get this money, we're going to be in a big hurt. So that's what that one is. The other one, $2,816.34, is back taxes all the way back to 1991 that weren't paid at the airport.
Who are we paying?
It's, was it the,
The Department of Revenue, or not the Department of Revenue,
was that IDM?
IDM.
It was for a storage tank. It was like a $90 fee that was supposed to be paid every day, or every year.
That's a lot every day.
And it wasn't paid, so we received a notice last year sometime, and with taxes and interest and everything, it was over $5,000. So Jim Clary got with them and talked to them, and we got that, all the interest and most of all the penalties. They wouldn't drop the $16.34 of the penalties, so we owed the $2,800 plus the $1,634, and we paid that. They requested that it be paid within 60 days, so we had to pay it so that we wouldn't get hit with penalties.
Okay.
The next item is a hangar roof repair. That has not been done. We were waiting to get approval before we did any work there. It's the north T hangars. The roof hasn't been coated for years and it's getting to be in bad shape. All the hangars are currently rented, and we have tenants in there that expect to have a dry place to keep their airplane. So we're asking for the $9,900 to be moved from the Aviation Commission account to our budget so that we can spend it. It's money. We're not asking for additional money from the city. It's money from the Aviation Commission account. That's where all of our hangar rent, our farm rent, all the income from the airport goes into that account. So we're just asking permission to spend additional money.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Marburg? Okay. Any questions, audience? Roll call.
Holland,
Yes.
Gaston,
Yes.
Torrance,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Alley,
Yes.
Langwell,
Yes.
Krauskopf.
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to new business, we have ordinance 14, 2017.
Ordinance 14, 2017, an ordinance for additional appropriations.
I move we consider ordinance 14, 2017. Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Krauskopf and seconded by Councilman Guston to consider ordinance 14, 2017. Roll call.
Holland,
Yes.
Gaston,
Yes.
Torrance,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Alley,
Yes.
Langwell,
Yes.
Krauskopf.
Yes.
I can tell you that there's someone here to speak on that tonight.
Who's here?
I'm going to point you where I'll start. This is Stephanie Nicholson. She is with AT&T and NetMotion. Can I come up and just talk for about 3 minutes and then let
Sure.
you kind of take over? Awesome, thank you. I appreciate letting me speak tonight. Thank you very much. About 3.5, 4 years ago, we went into a new computer system with the city, and what we were told back then, what I'm finding out we were told back then because I wasn't part of it, is that the system that we currently use that allows our computers to have communication to get our wireless going into our computers should be a backup system, and that we should be using air cards. And I know some of you may not understand air cards, so I'll explain it as best that I can. But an air card basically plugs in your computer and it gives you that wireless communication between your computer and towers, like AT&T in particular. Currently, this is the system that we have, and what you have here is you have this blue box, and this blue box basically, you could almost compare it to like a TV antenna. So I know some of us remember TV antennas. And the way that right now, if that was the system that we wanted to use, the TV antenna, you're going to have connection issues. There's going to be times you're just not going to be able to connect and find your TV station. This over here is basically the communication between the internet and your cars. So what we're running into right now, though, is the cost of these. These right now cost us just around between $1,000 and $1,100 for this complete package here. Right now, we are down 7 of these units. So we're looking at a lot of money that it costs. And what we're finding is these systems are now starting to break down and go away from us. They are a little bit harder to get a hold of, and they are almost impossible to fix. What we also find, though, too, is that when one of these things go down, before we know they're going down, we actually have to call our IT department, which is Intrasect. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, $120 an hour?
But I hadn't looked at those,
Okay.
but yeah, it's
I think
roughly in that ballpark.
The hourly rate, just to ask them to come in and do a diagnosis to make sure that one of these pieces or parts is out, is $120 an hour. So it's pretty salty. So what we're finding now is that cost is affecting us. That also doesn't include the fact that when an officer's computer seems to go down or this system seems to go awry, that now we bring in an officer off the street. Now we're bringing Bill Raber, who's our IT guy. He's not an expert at it, but he's done an amazing job for us by saving us a ton of money, is coming out of his office to try to fix these. So now you're talking about lost, I don't want to say lost wages, but you're talking about wages that are going to a certain spot that it really shouldn't be going to because of the reliability that you're going to find out with the air cards. So this system right now is just extremely unreliable. It's something that probably should have never been a major the main source of us to have our communication with our computers. And I just feel like this is a better solution. I think that Stephanie will be able to speak to the fact that she said she had never even heard of this before, and she's been doing this for quite a long time. The county, when they developed this system, or when they started this system, which they started at the same time that we did, they have air cards. So I ask you to go talk to any county officer, Sheriff Miller, anybody, and ask them if they have any issues with connections with their computers. They do not. I've asked them that. They have zero. So now they're not bringing an officer in. That officer's not off the street for an hour, 2 hours at a time. Bill Raber's not out of his office for an hour, 2 hours at a time. Basically, they're able to stay out on the street, which is what we're looking for. So when you're talking about $1,000 per system, that's a cost right there, like I said, with the officers as well. And then, I'll just repeat again, when you're talking about bringing in Intrasect or our IT department, there's just so much cost that I know that what I'm requesting is a lot of money, but I think over the duration of time, you'll find that it'll either wash itself away or we'll start saving money by using this new system. So, and it just speaks to the effect of the productivity that we'll have from our officers and the non-frustration of our officers and the things that will be beneficial to our department, to our city. So, with that being said, one of the items that we have that I'm asking for funding for is something called NetMotion. And Stephanie is with AT&T, and I'd like for her to speak on that a little bit. And if you have any questions, I know she's ready for questions and answers. But as you will see in the quote, well, I don't think you have the quote, but the quote is for $10,091 through AT&T. That includes an almost $4,000 maintenance agreement as well. So Stephanie can speak to that and the cost of that, or any questions and answers you may have on that. And you may not have any. So if you have any, that's great. Or Stephanie, if you want to maybe just speak about NetMotion and what it is and how it communicates or helps our computers, that'd be great.
So I don't know how much all of you know about air cards. Sometimes you may have heard reference to cradle point devices. Oftentimes in law enforcement vehicles, we like to see cradle point devices or what we call a trunk mounted modem put in there. In situations where that's not cost prohibitive, then we go to a solution similar to this. We put an air card or a MiFi device in the officer's car that stands to connect to our network to do that transmission of data. So when they're doing their wants warrants, their lookups, this also deals with CJIS. This product is CJIS compliant with the NetMotion. So when they are in their cars, we want them to obviously spend their time focusing on the public and focusing on protecting citizens, not messing around with a computer. So you have two components here. You have the data connection, which is your air card or MiFi device. That's what actually connects to AT&T's network and transmits that information back and forth from their data center or from the state data center or from the federal data center into that officer's car. The second piece of that is a product we sell, which is called NetMotion, which I'm told by NetMotion that approximately 85% of law enforcement across the country uses their product. It's similar, if you have any inkling to what a VPN is, it's similar to that. But it also provides not just additional security for the officer's data that they're transmitting, but it provides session persistence. And what that means is if I'm traveling, let's say I'm an officer and I'm sitting still, I'm working on a report. We want them to be able to work on the reports remotely, right? Because when they're out remotely, that's more citizen awareness, that's more that they're out in the community and they can see what's going on. So if I have an officer sitting there working on a report remotely, could just be sitting alongside of the street somewhere. They get a call out and next thing you know, they haven't finished that report, but they have to do 80 miles an hour down the highway to chase a suspect. What happens to that report? Well, based on their current situation, they essentially lose all the information that they've just put into that report and that time that they've spent inputting that report. What session persistency does is it says, okay, if AT&T cuts out on their network while that officer is going 80 miles an hour down the highway, NetMotion's going to keep that session persistent behind the scenes so that that officer does not lose that information. Likewise, that officer doesn't have to come onto their computer and do multiple sign-ins. They have a single user sign-on whenever they are using NetMotion. So it's essentially a software that makes it capable for that officer to spend more time doing their job than fiddling around with their computer trying to get it to connect to a network or to a Wi-Fi setup. In addition to that, if they did choose, let's say, to use Wi-Fi, then instead of that officer actually having to make that choice of which is better, whether the Wi-Fi connection is better or whether the AT&T network is better, then the NetMotion software is going to do that for the officer behind the scenes. So again, the officer doesn't have to mess with their computer. When they walk into the station, their computer's going to say, oh, you're doing a report and you need Wi-Fi, so I'm going to connect to the Wi-Fi instead of the AT&T network because the Wi-Fi signal is better in this building. But when they go back out to the street, the software is going to recognize that the connection out on the street is going to use the AT&T network. So that's a really high-level overview, and as the Chief mentioned, the Miami County Sheriff's Department has used this for several years. They went to it, and they don't use air cards specifically. They actually have a modem like I do in my computer. If I took the battery off of my computer, then there's a little SIM chip from AT&T inside of my computer, and that's what they use today. So instead of having to have an external device, then they just have everything built in. The contract itself, as far as air cards go themselves, there's no upfront cost for the equipment, and there's no length of term of service. It's actually all under the state QPA. So what happens is if PA comes back and says 2 months later, hey, we're down 2 officers, we only need 23 right now, then we just shut down 2 cards. Whenever he's ready to add 2 officers back, then we add 2 more users back. There's no penalty for shutting down users or adding at any time. So you have no length of contract on the air cards. The NetMotion agreement, which is the software for your VPN, for your security and everything, your session persistency and all of that, that is based on a 1-year or a 3-year term. It's more wise to go with the 3-year term simply because of the cost. Your cost for a 1-year term, believe it or not, is actually almost exactly the same as it is for a 3-year term. They do that because they want to encourage you to continue to use the product. One thing I'll say is, I've been in the mobility industry for 18 years. I started out my career with Nextel in Chesapeake, Virginia. I was there for 9 years, and I've been with AT&T for 9 years. This is one product that I can absolutely guarantee. I can stand on a Bible and say this, that there is no way that I would not recommend this product. It is absolutely one of the best products developed for law enforcement, public safety, or any mobile user specifically. We're actually seeing this product being moved over into other fields, into health departments, public works, different areas of government. But this is a kind of a set it and forget it is the way I look at it. I've out of all the years I've sold this product, I've had 1 instance of a customer that came back and had a complaint that they were having connectivity issues and problems, and come to find out that was because they put a repeater type device in a fire apparatus, and that was actually the cause of the problem, and it actually had nothing to do with NetMotion or AT&T. So I definitely stand behind this product. Questions?
Cost per year?
Excuse me?
Cost per year?
The maintenance is, there's two pieces to the cost of this product. One is licenses, the actual licenses. For 25 licenses, the cost is $6,268.75. That's a one-time fee. You never pay that fee again. For a 1-year term, no, I'm sorry. This is a 3-year term. This corresponds to the Sheriff's Department because their server at the Sheriff's Department is what you guys are going to be using. The Sheriff's Department, by them already having this service, is actually going to save you money because you don't have to put in a new server to do all of this. We're going to essentially write off of the Sheriff's Department account, and we actually already have approval from Tim Miller to do so. So everything will come through the billing at the Sheriff's Department, and then essentially that gets billed out to the city from the Sheriff's Department. But the 3-year term is $3,822.47, and that takes it through the effective date of December 10th, 2019. I'd expect that cost to go down just a little because the way we quote this is everything is done coterminously. So let's say if Mike has to come back and add 5 users in 6 months, then the price that we charge for that maintenance fee is going to be coterminous with that date of when the next renewal is. So the next renewal will be December of 2019 before you would owe anything else.
If we approve this, how quickly can you implement it?
Literally, if it were approved tonight, we could have them up and running probably by the end of the week. I caution that only because I'm leaving for vacation on Friday, so I'm not going to postpone my vacation, but it's a very simple setup. So pending my vacation, other than that, it's literally a few days.
You said it's a three-year, we're only getting 30 months worth of service out of that. December of 19 is only 30 months.
Yeah, like I said, it's 3 years based on the time of the sheriff's department. So we're making that coterminous. So when we say 3 years, yes, it's
30
I can
months.
tell you, okay, so for instance, that amount was $3,822.47. I believe the sheriff's department has about the same number of users, and their price was, for a 3-year term, was $3,894. So it's very similar.
But we're not getting the other, we're not getting the other 6 months. We're only getting 30 months.
Did that
We're only getting 30
term
months
just
for the year.
start?
This was quoted, the quote that I gave Mike was back from February. So I have to go back and redo the quote. That's kind of your worst case scenario right now. So I've got to go back and correct the quote because we only can keep a quote live for 30 days.
Okay.
I would like to say too, though, when you talk about cost, I just want to be upfront about this too. When you're talking about wireless air cards, approximate cost $31.24 each, 25 units. So we're looking at, I'm going to have to try to budget another $9,372 per year just for those air cards alone. So just so you understand that will be a continual cost as well. That's something
You say
that
they're-
does work.
You say they are $31 a piece
Yes,
and 25?
yes.
Wouldn't that be $750?
$781 if you count the $31.24
So where'd you come with 9,000?
times 12
Per year.
per year.
That'd be-
Yeah, it's $781 a month.
Oh, it's okay, you said $31. I thought that was an annual cost.
That's per month, per
That's a
officer.
per month cost.
So
Okay.
roughly $9,372 is something I would put in my budget for
Which is also
18.
under state QPA.
Which this will take us down a significant amount of money over a 3-year time.
When you consider everything else that we're already doing?
Yeah.
Yes, I believe so. I really do.
Because what are you budgeting now for the cost for what the system that we currently have? Is that 9,000?
There's not a budget, there really isn't a budget in place. I have, right now, it's just any type of office equipment, any type of equipment that goes down. So there's sometimes we may have to, right now, we're down 2 of these units. So we have 2 officers that do not have in-car computers as we speak. So just because I'm trying to find and pick and choose where I can spend money and trying to budget, being midway through the year, only my 2nd year, I'm a little leery about spending a lot of money. So we're just at that point right now where I don't want to go ahead and buy new equipment if the council feels like this is a good idea.
So this air card thing, which is what she's proposing, you're proposing, but she's explaining, that's the 9,000 that you're going to have to.
Right.
Per
Plus,
year.
but the 3,600 will also be every 3 years as well. That it's a maintenance
You have 3
agreement.
components. You have, well, technically 4. You have $0 for your equipment, okay? For the air card itself, there's no cost for that. We give that to you. The second is each user is charged $29.99 plus taxes, fees, and assessments that apply for each month for your service, okay? Then you have your NetMotion software, which in this case you do not have to purchase a server because the Sheriff's Department already has that in place, and we're going to piggyback off of that due to the way that the setup is for what their needs are of the access to the information that they need. And then you have your the actual NetMotion software itself that we were talking about is your $6,268.75, and then every 3 years you have a maintenance fee. And that was the $3,822.47. And this quote was actually based off of it was like February 10th.
So I need to even request, or change my request for the funding to, instead of the 18,777.22, I misunderstood the quote, and that's completely on me. That maintenance agreement, I was asking for another $4,000 for the maintenance agreement. So I was asking for the net motion, $10,091, and then asking for an additional $4,000 for our maintenance agreement. That $4,000 is already built into that $10,000. So that, now instead of the 18,777, I'd actually like to request, I don't know how I need to go about amending this, 14,777.
I was going to ask how it got to 18,000. That was my very next question, so.
And so, just so you do understand, the net motion, if the quote stays the same, $10,091.22. Air cards at $31.24 per month times 25 officers times 6 months. So that would equal $4,686. So you add those two together, we're coming up to $14,777.22.
And you can, I mean, just to put it on the record, you can see a slight fluctuation on that monthly fee just because of the surcharges and things changing with government fees, such ironically, so. It's usually depends.
Coincidentally, this is just about how much money you get for selling the confiscated firearms and stuff, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Real close,
The
right?
auction.
Within $1,000, isn't it?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Isn't that where it went into that fund too?
But we did spend $4,200 on it already, but go ahead.
Oh, come on.
We did.
Well, what do we have to do here?
Well, we can't
So-
approve it tonight.
Right.
Because it's an ordinance and it's spending money. And so that's step one. Step two is it's for the incorrect amount of money.
Right.
So we would have to amend the ordinance for the corrected budget. You're going to come back with a new number, right? So I think we have considered it tonight. There's nothing more than we can do until we come up with a correct number. And then we can move
And
to
that
adopt.
could be smaller too, right? Because you said the
She
quote.
said it's going to be smaller,
Right.
14,000.
I mean, even, well, yeah, the 14,000, but it might even be less than that.
I had a question,
It's
Kurt.
gonna be slightly smaller.
I had a question. Do you want us to publish it at the 14 or at the 18?
Well, 18 is not the number you need, right?
I didn't know if we had to publish it at that number, if you can, or if we can publish it at the 14. For the
Well, I would be happy to amend the ordinance, but I have no idea what the number needs to be. So, I mean, I would...
I guess, I don't know if I can do this. I'll ask 14,777.22, and then if there's anything I need in addition to that, then I can find something somewhere else in our budget to spend that. I don't think that the quote's going to be lower, but I guess it could be.
It's AT&T, they're not going to be lower.
I didn't say that.
Nothing personal.
Well, just because I guess I just want to try to get it, I don't know if this puts us off another month, then if those amendments have to be made, or whether that's something.
I think we've got to be correct. I think we've got to be correct with the number, because we are spending the public's money. And so we've got to be right. We've got to be right. But I'm not sure what to amend it to at the present time.
They did say that offers are only good for 30 days.
Correct.
I don't know how we'll be able to get an exact number if the offers only last 30 days.
Well, you only publish it, what, a week prior to the...
Yeah.
Mhm.
Isn't that right, too? So, I mean, if we get the quote,
Can we amend it?
Two?
Can we amend the dollar amount next month and approve it? No, I'm asking the attorney. We have considered it for this 18,000. We
Right.
don't need that much, so.
And I believe so. I believe you'd be fine doing that well within your,
So we can move to amend the dollar amount next month and then go ahead and adopt.
approve, yeah, adopt.
Okay. That all right? You get a correct quote, we'll change the dollar amount, Tish will advertise for the corrected amount, then everybody will be square?
Sounds good.
Okay?
Thank you for allowing us to speak. Appreciate it. Hearing us out.
Mhm. Okay, that'll come back next month.
All right. Next, we have Resolution 7, 2017.
Resolution 7, 2017, a resolution establishing rate tracking factor for the municipal electric utility of the city of Peru, Indiana.
I move we consider resolution number 7, 2017.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Crosskopf, seconded by Councilwoman Lee to consider Resolution 7, 2017. Roll call.
Holland,
Yes.
Guston,
Yes.
Torrance,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Allie,
Yes.
Langwell.
Yes.
Croscoff.
Yes. I move we adopt Resolution 7, 2017.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Croscoff and seconded by Councilwoman Lee to adopt Resolution 7, 2017.
So we're decreasing the fees based on the new rate tracker for the next quarter. I think that's what we were told last month.
Right.
Okay. Any questions from anybody? Just a normal housekeeping quarterly thing? Rates are going down. Okay.
All right.
All right.
What's court?
For a change.
Yeah.
Until September, when we use a lot of, if it's a hot summer, it'll go back up. So, okay, roll call.
Holland,
Yes.
Guston.
Yes.
Torrance,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Allie,
Yes.
Langwell.
Yes.
Croscoff.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, we have Resolution 9, 2017.
Resolution 9, 2017, a resolution to move appropriated funds within a major budget classification.
I move we consider Resolution 9, 2017.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Croscoff, seconded by Councilman Guston to consider Resolution 9, 2017. Roll call.
Holland,
Yes.
Guston.
Yes.
Torrance,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Allie,
Yes.
Langwell.
Yes.
Croscoff.
Yes.
Where'd Resolution 8 go?
Hmm?
Where'd Resolution 8 go?
Floating around somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We didn't have one.
Don't have it.
We probably, I don't know, I don't see 8 anywhere.
Wasn't meant to cause that much, I was just curious.
We didn't like it.
7, 8, 9.
Oh.
I was just checking to see if it was in the minutes last time.
Something wrong with this boy.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, you just threw a monkey wrench in there.
I did.
Thank you. You engineers.
Yeah.
I don't see it in last month's
Okay.
minutes. It may be, sometimes they're in the works for a while. I issue the number and then they're worked on for a while, so
Okay.
I couldn't tell you right now.
Let's see, we're moving money, so I move we adopt Resolution 9, 2017.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Croscoff and seconded by Councilman Guston to adopt Resolution 9, 2017.
Good question. I know we have $27,000 left because we did not appropriate the deputy clerk. I was under the understanding that Cumberford was doing it for less than that, and we were going to save money.
Yes.
So why are we moving the whole $27,000?
Well, there's setup involved.
Setup.
Yes, there was, we spent, I actually have the first bill from them. We spent countless hours building their system to be able to do this, inputting all of our employees, inputting all of their deductions. It was not an overnight thing to get them to do. We had to get their database up to speed in order to talk to ours. We built spreadsheets so that everything that they do, I can convert that into our Keystone payroll system, because we still need to keep the money current, the amounts current in our system in order to be able to run accurate reports and things like that. So there was a lot of work on the back end to get it set up.
Okay.
Who's done our payroll up to now?
Pardon me?
Who's done the payroll up to now?
It's Cumberford's. It's Betty Hall at
They've
Cumberford.
been doing it and you've been paying them?
Yes, since February. Up until February, we had a third deputy upstairs that was doing it.
Yeah.
So when that deputy left, payroll is not something, that's a big job. So you have to understand the taxes, you have to understand the payroll side, you have to understand labor laws, a lot of things. So you can't just find the perfect person. So instead of struggling through getting people paid until we find the perfect person, I hired a local firm to do it, which is Cumberford's.
So is that this outsourced?
Yes,
That's Cumberford?
yes,
You don't have enough help in your office to do it?
no,
How many people you got working for you now?
2.
Lori and somebody else?
I would love to.
No, he said Lori and somebody else.
Oh, I'm
I don't
sorry, I
see
thought you
a
said, are you
name
getting
on
someone
that,
else?
no.
Yes, it's Lori and Brandy.
Brandy.
And then the payroll being outsourced has actually created a lot of extra work. Like I said, all of the reports have to speak to one another so that I can keep the funds right in our accounting system. So it's quite a bit of work that the three of us take on.
Didn't there used to be 4 up
There
there
used to
helping
be
you?
3 full-time plus the clerk.
Right.
Yes, now there's 2 full-time plus the clerk.
This was the money that was essentially for the third.
Yep.
Yes.
That was already approved and appropriated.
Yes. That's why it's just a move between classifications.
Any more questions?
Okay.
Okay, roll call.
Holland?
Yep.
Justin?
Yes.
Torrance?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Allie?
No.
Langwell?
Yes.
Crosskoff?
Yes.
The motion passes. And I believe that's it on the agenda for tonight.
I had a question. I'm in charge of the Transportation Department at the Y. About 3 weeks ago, one of our drivers was walking from the YMC over to our transit garage to pick up one of the vehicles, and the house on the corner of Wabash and Ewing has a pit bull, and the pit bull was loose, and the pit bull confronted him and was aggressive. He got away, but I called it in to City Hall, and I've heard nothing.
So you called City Hall?
Yeah, sure did.
Okay. Well, just for like public information, you need to call dispatch, and dispatch will,
Well, it was gone. It was over and done with.
Okay.
So, I mean, I was getting the story 2 hours later.
okay.
So there was no reason to dispatch him, but as far as I've heard nothing from anybody. And we have kids over there at the YMCA going over to the playground. I was told that this dog they've had reports on it before, and I've heard nothing.
Who did you talk to?
Upstairs, I think it was Josh.
It was Josh? Okay. Well, I can ask him and find out what was done afterwards. A lot of times if there's a situation like that, they contact the department head and resolve the issue. Maybe he wasn't clear that you were expecting a call back, so I'll find out.
Well, I would have thought that somebody would have told us. I mean, with all those kids over there and a dog, that's not a good mix.
Absolutely agree.
Who's still in charge? I know several years ago, when you owned certain types of dogs, you had to carry a pretty high insurance policy.
Right.
Whoever checks on that to see that that's being done. You see a lot of these vicious like animals.
Right. That would go through the animal control department with Greg Douglas, so I'd have to ask him exactly how that process works.
I know that we do get insurance riders in the mail, and I give those to Brenda for a dog that's been deemed vicious. They do have to carry insurance, and when I get them in my mail, they go to Brenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, she gives them to Greg, but I do know that we do receive insurance riders for.
I couldn't speak to
Whoever
the
checks on
process.
that. Whoever checks to see that they,
That's a good question.
If they're registered as a vicious dog, when they get their tags yearly, they have to show proof that they have that insurance. But as far as getting a dog on that list, that would just, from my past experience, if there was a report of the dog being vicious, and it's confirmed by the animal control officer, and then they have to get tags. So any details beyond that of how that process works, but I do know that the animal control officer, I believe, is the person that deems the dog vicious because of a report. And then, like I said, you have to get dog tags to have a dog in the city, and you have to show proof of that when you get your dog tags.
Two more things. I noticed I've heard that the state's going to repave 19.
Yes.
From 150 East all the way out to 24. So I'm assuming it'll come downtown and then Main Street and then out that way. Is that correct?
No, it won't go to 150. It will go to, I believe, Spring Street, where Spring Street kind of turns into
I thought it said in the
Strawtown.
paper it went up to 150 East, okay.
From what I've heard, it goes to Strawtown/Spring Street.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess the reason I was asking, and Terry's familiar with this, a couple, 3 years ago, they put a new culvert under the entrance to Parkview Heights, and there's a drop-off about an inch that they did not fill up. And I was thinking, if it was a state right-of-way, they could taper it out. If not, I've had some constituents up there ask me about that also, because you have to slow down to pull out of there, and it would be nice if that could be filled in.
Yeah, we can absolutely let IDEM know about that. That might be something they can take care of regardless of whether or not they're doing work in that area.
Okay, and the downtown's looking nicer. I was wondering about there are maybe a dozen or so trees that have died in the planter boxes. Is there any plan to replace those?
Yes, there is. So we purchased 30 tree, I take that back, I think it was.
Rose of Sharon, those Rose of Sharon bushes.
Well, we purchased new trees. They weren't Rose of Sharon. We purchased I cannot recall the specific name of that. It was a type of birch. And after we purchased those, we talked to the DNR. They actually came as part of a kind of like a grant process that the Chamber of Commerce was going through to get more trees through with the Lions Club. Partnered with the Chamber of Commerce to try to get a lot of new trees bought for the city. When we talked to the DNR people, one of the DNR people was a certified arborist, and they suggested that we modify the area there where we plant those trees to maybe cut it out to be a little bit wider to give the trees a better chance of survival. And they suggested to us that it wouldn't be a good idea to plant spend all that money putting those trees into those spaces unless we modified those planter areas. So we'd already purchased the trees, and we gave them to the parks. So those trees were planted at the golf course. And Cheryl, do you remember where else they planted them? Or
Davis Park.
in Davis Park. So the trees were planted in the park system, and I'm going to look at what it's going to take to maybe modify the streetscape planter areas to make them more conducive to the trees, so that we know that the trees we plant have a better chance of surviving.
Well, most of them have survived. I mean, 80% of them have survived. I mean, there's going to be some.
It hasn't been 80%, no. It hasn't been 80%.
Survival?
Yeah, south of Broadway, or I'm sorry, yeah, south of Broadway, south of Main Street, I'm sorry, on Broadway, the majority of the trees have died between the river and Main Street. No. But and now, around the courthouse and towards the north end of Broadway, they've done a lot better. And so I talked with Marlene Carpenter out at Garden Gates about where they're surviving better for whatever reason, whether it be soil or whatnot, towards the north end of Broadway, keeping them in that area, and then switching out to another tree that might do better south of Broadway.
Is somebody watering?
South of Main.
Is somebody watering the roses and the Rose of Sharons?
We've had enough rain lately that we haven't had that issue this year so far. But we have the it's not golf cart. I don't
That's
know
a golf
exactly.
cart with a tank on the back,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and we still have that at the police department that we can use. If
Is
it gets
somebody
done.
doing it is what I'm going to,
There's nobody on, like, any kind of payroll to do it. I think in the past, Jim did it. So when it gets dry enough, I'll have to go out there.
Don't you have to be careful too about how high the trees will get, the ones that you want to plant?
We definitely want to make sure that they don't interfere with
Well,
anything.
the
Right.
birch usually take two or not?
To
Don't they usually plant two birch trees nearby?
clump. It's a clump. It's a clump.
Well, this specific breed, or not breed, but variety of birch
Okay.
was a specific, they called it, I think, park pillar.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure it was park pillar, and they grow very tall and very thin.
right.
So they'd be a little bit more visually, you notice them, they'd stick out a little bit more, but they weren't going to branch out. I think that mature pillar park birch trees said, or at least Garden Gate said, that the diameter wasn't greater than 15 feet. So it wasn't really going to interfere with traffic on the street or get, like rubbing up against the buildings and
Okay.
hitting windows and stuff like that.
I move we adjourn.
You have a second?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Well, do we have anything, before we do, we have any audience? Okay.
All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
All right.
Go blow your horn, Tommy.
I'm not going to blow my horn.
Oh. Bye, Tom.